Now let's move on to some other issues. President Trump has renewed his threats to attack Iran, saying time is running out for the Iranian regime to make a deal on nuclear weapons. But the Islamic Republic has hit back with its own threats, claiming Iran's response will be immediate and unprecedented, and that the regime would target Israel and all supporters of the aggressors. Ami, the Iranian regime is good at making threats, but the only unprecedented attacks we've seen recently has been against their own peoples. Tens of thousands have been slaughtered.
Yeah, sorry, color me skeptical whenever I hear the Iranian regime talk about unprecedented attacks. We're going to make you pay, Israel, United States. Yeah, I've heard this story before, and it really hasn't come to pass. So I'm not particularly worried about the response they're going to have towards Israel and the United States. But I am particularly worried as what they will do to their own people. Look, they've learned from the playbook of the Assad regime. There is no limit to the villainy of what they're willing to do to their own people. The Assads had killed hundreds of thousands of people. We're getting, by the way, the latest numbers are incredible. They're talking about 30,000 people have been killed just in recent days, never mind the totality of how many people murdered. I would not be shocked if the number at the end of the day is hitting 100,000 or more. There is no limit to the amount of bloodshed they're willing to entertain to stay in power, unfortunately. But the alternative of, if we're able to flip this regime, and I think we're closer than we ever have been, there have been 6 major uprisings in the last 25 years against this regime, and the prior 20 years there were 0. So we're definitely moving in the direction of the people saying we're just done. This compact that we had between the regime and us is over. These are not Arabs. They are Persian, and their view of the world and the West and the United States is far different than the Arab world. They are pro-Western. They are actually many times pro-Israel, pro-Semitic. And I think if we're able to flip this regime, that's a cost we should be willing to pay, because we're going to move from one of the most implacable enemies the West has to a great Western ally, an ally they're going to become. And we know this because we have history with this. Okay, the Iranian regime shared military and intelligence with the United States and Israel and Europe. And that's what we can do. We can now move from being one of the worst enemies we have in the region to being a bulwark of democracy and of Western support. So the cost, I think, is worth it. It's not, I'm not saying we should have boots in the ground. We shouldn't. But there are very limited options. And I would not be in the president's, I don't want to be in the president's boots because he doesn't have a lot of options for them. But I think taking action is better than taking no action, because the results, the positive results, are really immeasurable.
Now, Ami, before you go, it was Holocaust Remembrance Day early this week, and you've been on the streets of Paris speaking to young folk after a study showed disturbing numbers of Europeans are ignorant about the Holocaust.
Holocaust, I don't know.
La Shoah? Ring a bell at all?
No, not really.
No.
The Shoah?
No.
Tu sais ce que c'est l'Holocauste? La Shoah?
No.
Non?
Non du tout.
Non?
No.
No.
I don't know.
Ami, is this a failure of the education system, a failure of parenting, the culture? Why have only 50% of young Parisians heard of the Holocaust?
Yes, and more. Super disturbing. Yeah, I made this video because I heard about this study and I wanted to see if it was actually true and to bring that study to life. So I went there and asked these questions myself. It is deeply disturbing of the lack of knowledge they have of the Holocaust. It was under 50% knew what it was at all, and almost no one knew that 6 million Jews were killed. Like, I think one person of all the people I spoke to came across that. Even more disturbing, there were a few people I came across who knew what it was and refused to go on camera because they said, we don't want to make Jews seem like victims. And that plays into it also. The idea, they don't want, it goes against their narrative of Jews as victims when they're trying to demonize Jews in Israel. They don't want to learn about it. They don't want this to be a topic of conversation because that's not the narrative they're trying to push through. It's actually quite disturbing. And furthermore, I have to say something else, that what the Democrats are doing by comparing the Nazis to federal agents is denuding the power of the Holocaust, okay? It's also trivializing the Holocaust. It's making, and this is one of the reasons why it's a problem, because people are like, look, how bad can the Nazis be? They're being compared to federal agents, okay? Yeah, all of this is a confluence of things coming together for us to forget that 6 million Jews were put in ovens not long ago at all. Not long ago at all.
Ami Horowitz, thank you so much for your time tonight.